Let's get moving.
Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Righto, so I just done a video on why the Grudge was so good, the Japanese original. So I figured I'd do a video on why the Grudge 2020 was meh. About 5 out of 10. As middle of the road as you can get. So this one takes place in a rural small town in Pennsylvania, like so Southern America. Southern America is like mainly good for like semi-racism, some Western horror like slave abuse themes, or modern like horror, like slaughterhouse and like hot swamp and rot themes, and like, you know, lazy, deep, you know, South afternoon nihilism, sunset on morality themes, right? Like, so think you're like Ed Gein, grave robbing, Texas Chainsaw Massacre type deals, where it has like slaughterhouses with like rot, like bad smells, like isolating, never-ending fields. Like, that's your isolation element, is just like how sparse it is. Insane people in like the climate of slaughter, so like they're living around, you know, slaughterhouses and killing things as like a way of life, and like the rot associated with like the heat and the humidity, that the people there just like isolated, bored, and like just cooking in that like rot murder environment, right? And just like overextending themselves. This is like also your Resident Evil 7 like setting and theme feel, if you know what I mean. Only like Resident Evil 7 also like introduced like swamp elements, like it expanded that a little, like to not only include like all the rot slaughterhouse crazy themes, but also like expansive like marshes with like crocodiles and centipedes and mosquitoes, like creepy bugs, like like gross shit, like dirty swamps with like leeches and stuff, like all that sort of deal, right? And that's the American Deep South's like horror lineage. Like, that's the bread and butter. Like the latest Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think it was the latest one anyway, I'm not sure, I'm not caught up on them, like done something similar, like in order to try and claim to be like part of that lineage. And it nearly worked too. It had like the you know, the title, the DVD art, and it was like this new horrifying face, like freshly skinned face mask, and it was like not the original, and it was amid like a field of, you know, dry sunflowers, right? Like, that's perfect. Like, the rot would, you know, in theory sustain the sunflowers. Like, it was like the perfect image, like, and it was just like successful and striking, and it captured the mood, I would say. The movie wasn't that good. Basically, it was like a bunch of, you know, progressive liberal shit characters. Like, I wanted them all to die. Like, I didn't really give a fuck about any single one of them. And like, that includes like the one that survived the school shooting, that just like felt like progressive straw man nonsense, right? Like, just obvious gun control straw man, which I fucking hate. I fucking hate idiots that like attempt to, you know, portray this as anything other than, you know, giving the government more power over people, when governments in the past that have had total power have starved like many multiples more people to death than have died in, like, you know, mass shootings and all that sort of thing. Like, mass shootings are like pretty fucking rare, all things considered. It had a conservative as well. Like, the conservative, you know, put up, you know, a decent fight at least. Like, at least he managed to save someone. Like, he got fucking god bad. But, like, he saved one of, like, the shit diverse liberals before he, you know, he got fucking clubbed in the head. Like, and I pretty much responded to, like, the ending with a simple good when, like, Leatherface grabs one of the two shit liberal final girls through their, you know, electric car and just, like, viciously chainsaws one of their heads off. It was, like, a good twist. But, like, you know, it wasn't that good of a movie. But, like, that's, like, enough, like, sort of analysis on the South of America as, like, a setting, like, a brilliant setting. It's, like, own right in terms of horror, basically. We haven't even discussed, like, how good True Detective was and how it, like, used the South as a setting as well. But, like, yeah, that's, like, enough. Like, how does it apply to the Grudge structure exactly? So, not heaps well, except through, like, superficial gore and rot themes that, you know, go along that Texas Chainsaw Massacre lineage. But because it's, like, in the South, the structure is, you know, completely different. Like, right off the bat, the original Japanese Grudge had, like, that Japanese orderly culture with the duty angle. Like, it doesn't exist here. Like, the mental illness from isolation, like, overlap themes, like, a little bit do. But, like, the mess and litter, that was, like, a big part of the original Grudge. In, in a conservative, duty-run culture like Japan, it just means significantly less theme-wise in, like, the sprawling South. And, like, the destroyed family unit means less in America and the West in general as well. Like, I'd say that's, like, mainly in part due to, like, the abundance of the West free nations, like, as a result of, you know, corruption and decadence of character and, like, Marxist subversion of the family. Like, we've been desensitized to, like, family unit breakdown and, like, destruction, and we've sort of had our cultural identity with regard to the Western family unit, like, eroded, like, over time compared to, like, cultures with strong family units like Japan, sort of. Like, in addition to that, we've been, like, sensitized in the West a lot to gore and shit as well, since, like, you know, fucking the video nasty, since, like, Cannibal Holocaust. But it's not just that, like, the gore itself is, like, also superficial. It's not, like, personal like the Grudge. For example, like, the first shots show, like, the foot tapping anxiety, like, the bloody nail chewing anxiety. Like, it's, like, hinting at a motive for what's to come, and then most of the murder is, like, left up to your imagination because it's off screen. You're just given, like, you know, the stabbing sounds, basically. And here, it's the spectacle itself. And since it's not, like, grounded in an emotion like the original Grudge was, it seems superficial. It's like the spectacle itself. Like, so as mentioned earlier, like, there's little, it's a retooled The Grudge, right? So there's, like, little, if any, character development. Even if the characters themselves are, like, well acted and they're, like, pretty well fleshed out, which they are, and, like, all the actors do a good job, and I like most of the characters. The structure's still, like, a slasher, though, so there's no real character development. So, like, while there is tension because you like the characters, you don't want to see them killed, ultimately it's kind of superficial because all the character arcs in, like, a Grudge movie like, predictably finish with, and then the Grudge curse killed them. So, like, right off the bat, it's sort of committed to, like, a flawed structure of, like, a mystery slasher with, like, no or limited character development, and since, like, it's a sequel, the mystery angle of the curse is moot. Like, it doesn't have any of like the creepy imagery of the opening of the first one to ground it, and it surrendered like the Japanese depth of culture, like the Japanese clean and orderly conservative duty theme that made like the first one great. So look, it gets off to a bad start, but like you gotta judge it as it goes, you know, to be fair. But like the very opening text like outright explicitly states that you can't get away from it, it's the Grudge curse, it's gonna kill you. So like it's completely surrendered the entire ability to deliver any sense of like mystery. Like, okay, bit rough, bit of a rough start. Where can you really go from there? Okay, so as I mentioned, it has stronger, more sympathetic central characters with like a newly widowed single mother like trying her best to look after a kid who's like a police detective, and a single like lonely middle-aged Christian dude trying to like capture the faith of his dead mother like as her partner. So like both are likable. Like, that being said, we know that they're just going to be like subjected to, you know, horrible deaths. Their character arcs are going to like inevitably be, and then the curse killed them. So it seems more like pointless superficial tragedy than like anything else. Like, however, it does like raise the tension, but it does it in like a bummer kind of way. So far, there's like no real strong metaphor to the horror gore either. Like, that being said, the movie is competent with like its setup and its tension, and with its likable, at least, you know, sort of developed characters. Like, the tension is good, even if it's like technically a little superficial, since like while they are fleshed out, they have no real arcs, and the horror isn't a metaphor for anything. But like, that's okay. It's like superficial but well executed, can still be good. Like, particularly if the tension is also like well executed, which it is. And then it has moments like the crazy dementia dependent like old lady that eats her fingers after like cutting them off with a knife because she's like starving. It's like a genuinely original creepy image and like well executed. Like the idea of like a crazy and literally starving to death because like you're so crazy you don't know how to feed yourself. It's like a horrifying image, and like a unique one, like sets like a strong horror like despair tone, and like that fits okay with like within like the deep south afternoon nihilism, like crazy isolated type feel. The next thing you get is the rotting ghost man in the armchair. Like, that is also genuinely creepy and like original, and it also like links to the humid rot horror themes and feel of the deep south. But like, we hit a bit of a snag with like the next introduced characters, like the pregnant couple who are like struggling and their baby has like horrible degenerative disease. It's like, okay, they're sympathetic, but you've just introduced a sympathetic victim for the curse, and like when their ultimate character arc is the curse kills them, it's just kind of a bummer. But like, at least they didn't have to deal with like a disabled kid, I guess. Silver linings in a horrible sort of way. Like, that just feels like superficial and like it's kind of cheap in like a bummer sort of way. Same again with the weird end of life maid plot. Like, they're always weird, they're always a little bit suspicious in movies, and like the twist is, you know, predictable. Like right at the end, she fails to cleanse the curse by burning the house down, and just gets taken by the curse and dies. So like, bummer twist, predictable twist, and all the character arcs are, and then the curse kills them. So, structure-wise and character arc-wise, it's probably a bit rubbish. Theme-wise, pretty weak, with a little bit of that, you know, deep south South rot theme and isolation theme. Has likable characters, but they all die, so bummer. And it has some okay iconic horror movies, like the old lady eating her own fingers during dementia insanity, and old mate in the rotting armchair, which is like covered in maggots and flies. Like, that's, you know, pretty genuinely creepy and original. IMDb gave it like a 4.4. Look, that's probably a bit mean in my opinion. Like, in my time I've seen, you know, some absolute shit that's like fucking way objectively worse. But look, this has some moments and some tension. Like, it was ultimately like a bit superficial and pointless in terms of character arcs, so kind of artificial. And look, they were taking on like a remake of a story, like the original, you know, The Grudge. Only now they like had like a bunch of extra weaknesses added on top of the already weak sort of structure. Like, you've got less grounded, more artificial creepiness. You've got no mystery element because it's like a remake / sequel. You've got no link to a culture where it's relevant, and you've got predictable character arcs. Like, it was never going to be great. And even though like it had a good attempt, it made like a valiant attempt by making like some of the characters like likable and creating some good tension with the characters. Like, you hope they didn't die, but you know, they ultimately did die. They ultimately died in a very predictable way. Look, probably avoid it unless you're like a horror fan or you really want to see those iconic moments, but look, it's probably not worth it, eh? So, final thoughts, not that good of a movie. Not as bad as they say. Had some iconic moments like that. You probably deserve to get watched. You can probably just watch them on YouTube though, if I'm being honest. Yeah, does not live up to the original Grudge. Does not meet the Southern America horror lineage, in my opinion. It doesn't, you know, go that far to be worthy of that. Not bad, not the best, not the worst. Yeah, probably give it a miss if you don't like horror movies.
All right.
This place is clean.
Shit.